Okay, and we are live. So, hello Ash, and welcome to my podcast interview talk live show thing that I haven't thought of a name for yet. So, to start off, would you like to give a little sort of background about who you are, what you do, so that people watching kind of understand?
Right, so my name is Ash. I am the marketing lead at a designer marketing agency called Prest Creative. We're based out of the Jewelry Quarter in Birmingham. Obviously, at the moment, we're in lockdown, so not talking to you from the office, but talking from the conventional home office. I've been in marketing for the past 5 years, really. I've been working in nightclubs very exclusively prior to lockdown, running events, doing the marketing for the venues. I used to work for one of the largest nightlife operators in the UK. Um, and then after that, I decided it's time to branch out and partnered up with um, a very close friend of mine, Tom, who is the founder of Prest Creative, and together we're running this marketing agency now. Um, it's funny actually. Our first client was an international client, and we're kind of working backwards from international to local at the moment. Just kind of the opposite way that you really want to go.
Well, it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you get it done. So you sort of said,
Absolutely, yeah.
you started off. Sorry.
It's all about the journey.
Oh yeah, exactly. As long as you get there, the actual means of getting there, I don't think matter as much. So you said that you kind of started off, exclusively working with like nightclubs and venues and events. What made you want to, or what made you make the shift from working exclusively or almost exclusively with nightclubs and events and like promo like that to working with a wider variety of different companies and businesses and brands?
COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Nice and simple answer to that one. Unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of the projects and plans that I did have in place for 2020 have now taken a back seat. It's just something that I didn't see happening. I didn't see it coming. Unfortunately, neither did the rest of the world. We're all in a very shitty boat together. So it was just a matter of, do I sit on my ass? Do I wait for life to go back to normal, or do I do something about it? And being the hyperactive ADHD kid, I was like, yeah, I need to do something about this. And I got up, and that's how we cracked on with Press Creative. It was either a case of sit on my ass and chill, or get up and do something.
Yeah. So, like you said, like you and a lot of businesses, you can't really predict something like COVID coming. How do you think, now that COVID has happened, now that you can kind of see something like this happening because it's happened, do you think that's kind of changed how you prepare for these things, or like has it permanently changed the kind of businesses you're going to work with? Or once COVID kind of sort of finishes as such, are you going to go back to what you was doing before and just keep a mind on it?
It's an interesting question. I don't think it's changed much for me personally, because I'm the type of person that I am. I've got spreadsheets for absolutely everything. I've got spreadsheets for my spreadsheets to keep everything organized. The way that I've launched a few businesses in the past, the way that I launched them, I like to make sure that absolutely everything is accounted for, all the costs are accounted for, all the income is accounted for, and there is nothing that I can look at and be surprised by. And luckily, during lockdown, when it first happened back in March, me and a couple of my close friends back where I used to live, we launched a company. We launched a sauce company, and that's really weird because I had no background in food. I had no background in condiments as a niche. But we managed to do it, and it was using basic marketing principles to kind of break into the market. And we managed to create quite a decent following, considering we put absolutely no money into it whatsoever, um, uh, except from actually making the sources. No other money went into the marketing. We made the logo ourselves. Like my business partner actually hand drew the logo, and then I whacked it into Illustrator and created a vector for it. And then my other business partner was actually doing all the videos that we were doing to try and market this. And the idea behind it really came from a place of, right, let's do something that no one else has done before. And that's where CBD Source Code was founded, where we're creating these incredible tasting sauces infused with CBD, which has a variety of medical properties, but generally speaking, it's just a really nice tasting sauce.
So why specifically sauces?
Sorry, what was that?
Why specifically sauces? You know, like I know you kind of said like something
No idea.
doing. No idea. Just wanted to do.
No idea. Because I went online and I had a look, and absolutely no one else in the world was doing it, and I was the first person to do it. So why the hell not?
But it definitely sounds intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, like every now and then I believe absolutely every single person in this world is going to have an idea, a money-making idea, and it's up to you whether you act on that idea or not. And I truly believe that this is one of those ideas. Unfortunately, there's a lot of regulations when it comes to CBD and food and novelty foods, and that's the category that unfortunately it falls under. And it would have been a very costly venture if I carry this on past March 2021.
Okay.
That's when new regulations come in for novelty foods. So yeah, at the time it seemed like the most perfect idea. We put all the plans in motion. We created the audience for it. Like I was saying, my other business partner was creating videos for it, and these were cooking videos. We took advantage of TikTok when it was just at the rise of TikTok at the start of lockdown. We basically tried to push that as far as we possibly could. We built a Facebook audience around it using a lot of Facebook groups, relevant Facebook groups. We basically built it up from scratch for absolutely no money whatsoever. And despite CBD Source Code currently laying stagnant, I personally learnt a lot about marketing using CBD Source Code. And it's one of those difficult things that when you start a business, you don't want to immediately advertise it because you want to see if there is an audience for it. You don't want to waste your money to see where it's going to go. You want to see, okay, this is profitable before I do anything with it. And it became so good organically that we didn't need to put money into it. And that's where we were at before we decided we need to lay it down for a bit and let's see where we're going in 2021.
So obviously you've kind of said that for right now this has kind of been put down, put to one side. When you've kind of got, you know, like once you kind of know where you're standing with the regulations next year, when you've kind of maybe got some more money coming in that you could put into it, more time free that you could commit to it, are you then hoping to pick that back up?
Ideally, yes. I think the most difficult thing is that I'm lazy. I am highly organized, but I'm very lazy. I know it's a paradox. Unfortunately, when it comes to certain things, if I don't want to do it, I cannot break past that barrier. Like I'll do it, but I'll hate absolutely every second of it, and then I'll dislike it even more, and then eventually it'll get to a point where I just don't want to do it. And there is no amount of money that could make me want to do it, despite how successful it might be. And one thing that I don't like doing is cooking. And as a byproduct of that, I don't like making condiments. So when, you know, the way the business was structured was all three of us had our roles when we all lived together. But then when we stopped living together and we all moved to different places towards the middle of lockdown, the first lockdown, it just kind of, shit hit the fan. We realized, okay, we can't do this when all three of us are in different places, and it just didn't work out. I went and bought all the ingredients. I created a few samples, set these out as well. Unfortunately, I may or may not have fucked up the recipe. I'll put my hand up and say I probably did, maybe about 10% sure that I did. Anyway, so then I kind of left a couple for myself so I could leave them in the fridge for a couple of days and go back to it. When I did go back to it, I realized I probably shouldn't have sent out that batch. But yeah, so I'm not the sauce maker, so the other business partner was the sauce maker. So yeah, you got to know your strengths and weaknesses in a business, and that was definitely not my strength. So we kind of had to take a little break from it. It's not really something that you can do from afar. So to go back to your question, yes, eventually when I do have enough money to hire a chef to actually make the sauces, to follow the recipe that my business partner created, but also to ultimately actually do the job rather than me having to follow a recipe. Which brings me to another point. I do not like instructions. I like to just go and do my own thing, figure it out. Unfortunately, that means that I make a lot of mistakes along the way, but yeah, it's how I learn. It's how I develop new ideas. With CBD Source Co, eventually, yes, I would like to bring it back, and I would like to do something with it. Given the new regulations in March, I will need a little bit more than we needed when we first started the company, maybe upwards of 10, 15K for the testing and everything that needs to be done in the labs to make sure that the source is okay to actually go out to people. But prior to March 2021, you could do that yourself. But after 2021, March 2021, you do need it to be regulated. They are bringing in new regulations. So despite the very average amount of CBD that would go into any product, they do want it to be tested, and they want it to be proven not to be effective, despite it not actually being. And there's lots of tests and case studies done in America. Unfortunately, you cannot use American test studies in Europe. So yeah, just hurdles, hurdles, but not permanent hurdles. And I think especially now with the current state of the world, a lot of people are using CBD, and I think it has some value to it that could come back later on in the world.
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely seeing a huge shift to more hemp CBD products. Like my girlfriend runs she's a body shop and home consultant, and there's so many body shop products now that are CBD or hemp. So it is like that. That's just skincare. And then obviously, like you say, you've got food. I know you've got like CBD butter. I think some companies do. So there's loads of great stuff. It's a pain in the arse with the regulations, but I suppose they're necessary, aren't they, to ensure some sort of quality. Yeah, and I suppose that's one of the kind of the big benefits of having teams as well. Going back to your point about kind of having to do things you don't like, having to do things that maybe aren't your strength. That's one of the benefits of being able to pay teams or having a business partner, because if you're doing it on your own, like I've found, you have to do things that you hate to make it successful. You have to spend time doing things that maybe aren't your strengths. And at the end of the day, you can be pretty good at a lot of things, but you can't be a master at a lot of things. Whereas if you're paying a team or have a business partner, they can be a master at some things, you can be a master at others, and then you can kind of achieve that global mastery throughout your business that kind of makes a business great, basically.
100%, and that's the way our marketing agency is structured. So I lead the marketing side of it. and Tom, my business partner, leads the creative side of it. And we both have our teams that we confer with, and then bottom line, it comes down to myself and Tom to decide how we want to move the project forward, and then we delegate workload. And honestly, it makes life so much easier. Now, we are at the start of our journey with Prest Creative, so we don't have a huge team, but it still helps to be able to get more opinions and, you know, thoughts on stuff. And I know that I've come to yourself in the past for copywriting because it helps to get a fresh pair of eyes on any project, really.
So just to get an idea of structure then, you've obviously got you and Tom are like the founders, you're the marketing guy, he's the creative guy, and then you each have teams of a couple of people under you?
Yeah, so Tom's got 2 junior designers with him, and I've got 1 marketing executive. And what we're doing is, at the moment, I'm doing the structure marketing for the websites and everything else that we create, and the marketing executive handles the social media aspect of it. And same with Tom. Tom handles the structure of the websites and the web development, and beneath him, his junior designers do social media content for clients and just generic tidbits that we need for the websites, generic tidbits that we need for clients. Stuff that is very time consuming. For instance, like, you know, these carousel posts, they're very fucking time consuming, and it's not something that either of us want Tom to spend a lot of time on.
Yeah.
So it needs to be someone that can sit there and really think about it and put their creativity into it. And, you know, at that exact time, we've got another project that needs to be done by tomorrow, you know, which Tom needs to take the lead on because he's more experienced and he's quicker, and I need to lead the marketing and the SEO on that because there's simply too much going on there, you know?
I mean, I completely agree with that. Like, obviously, right now in my business, I'm doing everything. Like, I don't obviously have a business partner, I don't have teams, and you're completely right. Making things like carousels is such a pain in the arse when I know that I need to be doing other stuff, but you need to do that as well. So I've got a couple of questions around kind of building those teams then and running those teams. So obviously, like you say, you've got 4 people now, 2 each, and then how did you kind of go about finding the right people for those roles and kind of filling those roles? 3 people, sorry.
To be completely honest, I've always found it very difficult, and I know Tom has as well, to bring someone on that can push your vision and understand your vision and be able to work alongside that vision. So it's very important to find someone. For instance, Alex, who is my marketing assistant, he's fantastic. You know, he understands what needs to be done. He understands the role, and more so, he's eager to learn, and he's eager to sit there and listen to the conversations that Tom and I are having, and the conversations that we're having with clients as well. And it's also very important to give someone who's fresh and someone who's full of ideas the chance to actually grow, the chance to flap their wings and fly. You know, you don't want to clip their wings, which is something that personally I witnessed a lot. And I've experienced this as well, working for other people, where my wings were clipped, and I was told, you know, to settle down and simmer down. And it's just mind blowing to think, right, there's this really eager 20-something-year-old lad who is willing to put his soul into his work, and he just needs that little bit of freedom and that little bit of trust to be able to go and do this. And you're just saying, no, we're doing it my way, you know? So it's important to find people that are creative and people that are willing and eager to learn, and they want to put their all into it. And then it's even more important for me as the person that's hiring them to say, go, do your thing, fly, let me see how you do, right? You've got an idea, you want to put it down, sound, go do it, let's see your results. And then, you know, after we see the results, then we can talk about it. Right, this worked, fantastic. How can we roll this out to X, Y, and Z client? Or inversely, no, this didn't work. how can we make this work? How can we repackage this to make it work? How can we repackage this this failure into a success story? You know, and it's about taking the problem that we're very much aware of or unaware of and turning it into a solution.
Okay.
And that's very important because, to be completely honest, I've had a few bad bosses and I've had a few good bosses in the past, and the good bosses have really given me the room to grow. They've given me the room to go and do whatever I wanted to do, and they're the ones that have taught me the most. They're the ones that have, you know, taken me under their wings and, you know, taught me things that I wouldn't have learned from anyone else, just doing my job, just keeping my head down. And like, I'll forever be grateful to those people, and they know who they are if they're listening. I don't know if they will be, but they will know who they are. And I honestly can't imagine where I would be without being given that freedom to grow, that freedom to lead, and that freedom to honestly just be myself. And, you know, I know it's so cliche and everyone says, oh yeah, just go and be yourself, no one is better at being you than you. Shut up. But it's very true. It's very true. And having that freedom to, you know, go and grow and really accelerate down that path, you know, it gives you a sense of freedom, and it makes you so much more productive than a role that is so limited and it says, right, cool, here's your job, do your job, then go home. You know, whenever I'm working with clients, like we try to keep a structure, obviously, for the sake of our mental health. We've spoken about this on countless occasions before, where it's so important to have a structure. And the fact of the matter is, the structure is an outline of how your day should go. But if I'm really into something and I'm really dying to get something done, that structure goes out the window. My passion takes over. And if I'm working with a client, if I'm working for myself, if I'm working for whatever, then my passion kicks in. That work is going to be phenomenal, you know, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. I want this to be the best thing I've ever produced because I'm passionate about it. And that's a lot of the passion projects that we do with Prest Creative. There's a few clients that we work with that we have labeled as passion clients. Not to say that other clients don't get the same service, but unfortunately, whether you're lying to yourself or not, every single business has their passion clients and the people that they really like, and everyone else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, you know, it's just one of those things. You know, you can lie about it and say, no, we treat everyone equally, but the fact of the matter is you don't.
No.
You know, I've worked in enough businesses, I've integrated with enough companies and clients to know that that's not how it works. You know, there are preferred clients. And it's not really a money thing either. It's not really a money thing. It's about the attitude. It's about how well we can mesh together. What's that word? Synergy.
Synergy. That word that I hate.
Corporate jargon. Let's put a pin in this and come back later.
Yeah. Can't stand it, honestly. So yeah, no, to touch on a few points that you kind of mentioned then, like having teams around you kind of sounds like a two-way street. So they give you passion and, you know, the energy to sort of execute your vision, and in return you give them trust and freedom is basically how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds, obviously, I mean, it sounds ideal if I was the team member or obviously, you know, boss, because you want people around you that you can trust to do what you need them to do. So that makes sense. And I definitely like the idea of not just finding people who want to come in, clock in there 8 hours, 10 hours, however much a day, and then go home. So yeah, no, that all sounds obviously really good. And another thing that you kind of touched on was something that I've now forgotten. So you basically kind of touched on you've obviously got some clients that you're kind of more passionate about, and you've got some clients that you're not so passionate about. And I think that's true of everything. Like, you know, you've got friends that are kind of your better friends.
I didn't say that, by the way. I didn't say I wasn't passionate about them.
No,
Just
sorry. Not as
there are
passionate
some
about,
that we are very passionate about.
There are some that, there's some you're obviously very passionate about. Others that you're just...
No. There's no others. We're passionate about everyone. Just some that we're more passionate.
You're some more passionate. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's true for everything, though. Like, you've got friends that you are better friends with, or relationships that you are stronger with than others. It's just how it is, isn't it? Like, you can't realistically maintain every single friendship, every single relationship, every single client to the same level. It's just not kind of plausible. And another thing that you kind of touched on as well is basically it's kind of with structuring your day. You kind of said that some of like your work, you know, you have a schedule, but some of your work you get so passionate about that you just go, throw your schedule out the window and basically just embrace the passion. And that's something that I've kind of found that's helped recently. Like, as long as I get 3 big things, I schedule 3 big things that I need to get done that day. But outside of that, if I have to move the rest of it to the next day or the next day or the next day, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because then if I want to be passionate about a certain thing, like you've kind of said, you can then kind of spend the whole day doing that if you want to. And it's kind of the freedom that being an entrepreneur is about.
It's really a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because if you get really passionate about something and you crack on with it, and then you kind of drop off with the rest of your work, then it doesn't balance out, and that's where you get the imbalance in your passionate work and the stuff that you're good at versus the stuff that you're getting paid for. And it's very important to make sure, we've discussed this before with the structures as well, to make sure that you stick to your structure and you use it as a guideline. When you are getting a little bit too off track, then you can reel yourself in and rein yourself in and say, right, cool. So I've spent this amount of time on this project when really I should have spent a lot less. So now I need to restructure my following day to make up for this, or on and on and on. But really and truly, you don't ever want to leave yourself with any sort of time period where you're doing catching up on yesterday's work. Mm-hmm. So I know that yourself, for instance, you've got specific time slots during your day that you don't schedule anything in for because you've got to work with other stuff, So is it true that you've got like an hour or two during the day where you know that you have to deal with certain priorities of work, and then you basically crack on with those, if you've got any, or I don't know how you handle it, but personally I've got those certain time periods during the day where I know that, for instance, from the end of this conversation, I will be getting my lunch, and then during my lunch, I'll be chilling, doing nothing, working on just eating and recuperating, and then after that, I've got about an hour and a half where I've not scheduled anything in. I'm probably going to finish off my my client work that I need to do, and then after that, then I've got another hour where I've got scheduled for other stuff that I need to do, social media, any client leads that I need to chase up, etc., etc. And you try to structure it in a way where, you make sure that your inbox is always empty because you are always checking your email at that time. There's no point a client emailing you today and you replying tomorrow because it's not in your structure,
Yeah, I get you.
So it's good to have the structure and to keep up to it, but you never want to really catch up on yesterday's work. You always want to be ahead of the curve, and having a structure like yours where you've got the hour or two slots where you can do other stuff but still stick to your structure is so important.
Yeah, I agree. Like to be a bit more specific about my structure, first off I use the Eisenhower matrix, if you know what that is. So everyone watching, and obviously you then, basically it's where you split up your work into important and urgent, important and not urgent, urgent and not important, and not urgent and not important. And then I start the day with the important and not urgent, which is like your self-development stuff. Then I do big blocks of the important and urgent stuff, so like content creation, client work, client acquisition, all this sort of stuff. And then finish the day with the urgent but not important, which is then the admin stuff. So you know it needs doing, but it's if you do it wrong, you do it slow, or you're tired, it doesn't matter. And then the not important and not urgent, you just bin off until it becomes urgent or important. And in terms of the blocks, every day I leave at least a few hours free, and especially like on weekends, if I need to basically fill in those blocks with work that either comes up last minute, or work that I just sort of think of like, oh yeah, I could definitely get this done while I've got this hour, then like that gives me the freedom to choose. And if I don't have anything, I then have that hour to go for a walk or exercise for a bit or just chill, let my mind go blank, I like to write notes or write a journal. That kind of helps during that time. Just keep your mind clear. Like you say, do nothing, don't think about work, don't talk about work, just chill. And then likely, which I've found at the end of those blocks of doing nothing, that's when you get your inspiration. Like if I'm sitting there trying to think of an idea, I'll struggle. But if I then sit there doing nothing, I then have all these amazing ideas. Like when I go to bed, I'm trying to sleep, I'm thinking of nothing, and then all of a sudden I've just had 50 ideas about this thing that I've been trying to think of all day. Like there's been times where I've stayed up for an extra hour just like writing down notes and typing up shit that I think of, which isn't great, but at least the inspiration comes. So.
No, that's just the beauty of creativity, isn't it? Like you don't know when creativity is going to hit. I have this thing called the shower phenomena, where whenever I'm in the shower, I will have an idea, and then what I've taken to do it is actually leaving my phone to voice record whenever I'm in the shower. Now,
that's a good idea.
This is weird. I know it's weird, right? I know it sounds weird, but I leave it there, and then suddenly, because this happens way too often, this used to happen a lot where I would have these ideas, and then by the time I'm out of the shower, by the time I've got the towel wrapped around me, gone. Yeah. I can't remember it anymore. That's my ADHD kicking in again. Fuck, right. Let's go fly a kite, right? But so recording these voice notes and then going back through it, whenever 9 times out of 10, I don't need to go back through it. But when I do need to, and I do remember something, and I'm like, oh fuck, right, here we go. Let's play this back. Let's see what it was I was talking about. And like I'll talk to my phone and like it's recording my voice, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, right, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. But
now that I'm out the shower, I can think about it a bit more. Maybe I can repackage this.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, it's helping develop a sort of mind frame where that is my creativity time, and it usually comes just after I've exercised. So my body is ready, my brain is awake, it's ready to pound out the ideas before I sit at my desk and I start working on something, or before I start getting ready for my daily commute. And it's just one of those things, like I always like to say, keep a notepad with you wherever you go. And I've literally always got mine next to me, regardless of where I am. It's either in my bag or in my pocket or something. And if I don't have that, then I've got notes on my phone. But it's just so important to be able to jot down your ideas as you're having them, because when they're in their rawest form, that's when they've got the most potential. When you start thinking about it, that's when you start putting your own limitations on your ideas. Like, I can't do this. I can't make this certain idea come true because of my limitations in my skill. Like, a lot of times I'll think, right, I can't personally go do something because I don't have this skill set. And then I remember, other people have this skill set. Other people can do this. I just need to structure it in a way to be able to accommodate that. So, make sure you record the next time you jump in the shower. Just leave your phone to record a voice note. It's fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. I also find that I like voice notes way more than I do messaging or writing like actual text notes. And I find that when I have a voice note, if I have an idea, I make a voice note. It helps me structure it in my mind more clearly. So it's not just a million random ideas thrown into one. It's actually, this is an idea, this is an idea, this is an idea, and this is how it could work. And also, once I make a voice note, I rarely need to go back to it. Like, for whatever reason, me making that voice note just helps me remember it and ingrains it without the need to actually go back to it. So I probably have a list of about 40 voice notes in the last month tops, that I won't go back to because I remember all 40 of them because I've made the voice notes. So it makes the voice notes kind of obsolete, but at the same time, if I didn't have them, I'd have forgotten it. So
Yeah. I think it comes back to that repetition, doesn't it? Memory through repetition.
100%. 100%. It's way easier to remember something if you experience it in different formats, different mediums. Okay, so one thing that you've sort of touched on a lot, and obviously something we've talked about a lot, is structuring your day, structuring your time, and sort of building those structures up so it makes your life easier, makes so you know what you've got to do and you don't burn out as much. I'm kind of curious then, in more detail, kind of how do you structure your day? Like I know you said you kind of, if you get passionate, you just take the time to embrace that passion. But outside of that, how do you structure your day to make sure you get everything done, to not burn out, and to basically enjoy the work that you're doing?
Honestly, like the past couple of weeks have been a struggle. Since going into lockdown 2.0, it hit me a hell of a lot harder than lockdown 1 did. Well, actually, no, it didn't. That's a lie. But it did hit me quite hard. I'm sure it's hit a lot of other people hard as well, so a lot of others can relate to this. It took me to a very deep and dark place. Unfortunately, it took me a little while to get out of that deep and dark place. I'm kind of pushing out of it now, still struggling a little bit, but we move. It's 2020. It is what it is. I think my structure for the past couple of weeks has been entirely too hectic to even call it a structure. It's been a sort of day by day, wake up, battle, go to bed, start again. However, prior to this, and something that I will be bringing back into my life once I've pretty much managed to get this week and next week out of the way, and coincidentally until the end of lockdown, basically, it's generally following a simple rule of wake up in the morning. First and foremost, I need to do something with my body, right? I need to wake up. I need to wake my body up. I need to wake my brain up, and I need to do something for myself, right? So I'll wake up. I'll either go for a run, go training, jump into my garden, just skip for a few minutes, just do some Muay Thai training, and then come in, do my stretches, jump in the shower, have a little shower, wash everything away, fresh mind, fresh brain, ready to seize the day, grab my breakfast, and then I'll sit at my desk maybe about 9 o'clock, start throughout my day, up until about 12-ish. There'll be like a couple, maybe a half hour, an hour of self-development thrown in there. However, up to 12-ish, it's very strictly just client work that needs to get done that day. And then after that, so I'll go have my lunch and then I'll come back. After that, I've got a couple of hours where I can do client lead gen, where I can catch up with the team, see what needs doing, see if anyone's struggling anywhere, see if I can help out in any way. A lot of times when you're faced with a problem, you can't solve it yourself because you've spent entirely too long trying to think of a solution for your own problem. So it helps when someone new comes along and says, right, well, actually, have you tried it this way instead? And I find that Tom does that very well to me. I do that very well to Tom. It's just a great dynamic to be able to bounce around to each other. We're trying to teach that to the juniors as well. It's one of those skills that you need to develop over time to understand that yes, you have these incredible ideas and they are fantastic. However, sometimes you are human and you will get stuck. So it's good to have like a couple of hours where we can just bounce around ideas, right? So what are you struggling with? What are you doing? What's on your structure for today? Like, are you okay with everything? Do you need a hand with anything? And then we create a list. Once we've got that list and we know where everyone is at, then we crack on and we start doing all these different bits. We'll break out, everyone goes and does their own bit. If there's client work that needs to be done that someone's struggling with, that will always take priority over personal work, or it will take priority over Prest Creative stuff. And then once that's done, then from about 3 p.m. till 5 p.m., that will be very strictly just work for ourselves, so structure for ourselves, lead gen for ourselves, any blogging, any SEO, anything that needs to be done for our own company. So for those 2 hours, we're very strictly just working on Prest Creative. And then after that, about 5 p.m., I'll probably have my tea and then let that digest. A couple hours later, I'll probably go training again, just to, kind of shut down my body afterwards. And then, home, shower, and get in bed, ready to watch some TV shows or Netflix or something. And then I've got my alarm on my phone that goes off at 10:30. It reminds me it's bedtime. So my phone goes on do not disturb. Honestly, it's the best thing in the world. It just stops sending me notifications. Like I'll suddenly realize my phone has been silent for a very long time. Oh right, okay, it's bedtime. Okay, right. I'll look at my phone and it says, "Yeah, it's bedtime. You're going to sleep in 6 minutes. So we've turned your phone off since half an hour ago." All right, cool, sound. Let's go to sleep then. And then I'll aim to get to bed about 11 and probably be asleep by about 11:30. And then start all over again day after. 6:30, 7 a.m. wake up and all over again. That's the ideal structure.
Yeah, reality is obviously, throws hurdles and you got to mix it about. I understand that completely.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, the structure isn't like that, really. Yeah. When it comes down to it, the structure changes a lot. So you try to keep within the organized little segments that you've created for yourself, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. We'll get a call from a client. We usually like to tell clients that we need a 2-week lead up on any work that they need. So if you know that, you've got something coming up, we say, right, cool. You've known about this for a few weeks. Just let us know as soon as possible so we can then structure our time as well. However, obviously the world isn't all sunshine and daisies. So we know that sometimes things happen, especially during the COVID era, where with some of our clients that run events, we know that you don't know what's going to happen. So when Boris announced lockdown, we had a lot of clients saying, right, cool, we need to tell people that this isn't going to happen anymore, and we need to tell them that we're going to move it, shift it forward a few days or whatever, and we need to go about it that way. So we understand that some work takes priority and, will disrupt the structure, but we really like to keep to that very specific structure.
I'm curious then, based off your structure and how you work, where do you fall on the debate about how much you need to work to make a business successful? Are you on the kind of Bill Gates side of you have to work 16 to 18 hours every single day or your business is going to fail? Or are you more of you can work 10 to 12 hours a day, but you've got to do that focused, completely one-track work?
I would love to have an answer for this and to be authoritative about it. However, the fact of the matter is I'm not that successful to be able to comment on this. I personally think that where I'm at the moment, I am structured in a way where we know how our day is structured and we get on with our work, and when the work is finished, then we party. Mm-hmm. And that's how it works. I'm not very much a person that wants to say, right, cool, this is the structure and this is what we stick to. We're working 9 to 5, because that is my nightmare. That is an absolute nightmare for me. I want to be able to, work whenever I need to work and chill whenever I need to chill, because a structure on a piece of paper or a structure on a board doesn't tell me when I'm tired. It doesn't tell me when I need to eat. It doesn't tell me things that my body wants to do, things that my brain wants to do. And, being someone that's as erratic as myself, I need to have that freedom to, just go and do whatever. If I need to go for a fucking walk in a half hour, guess what I'm doing? I'm going for a walk in a half hour. And it's beneficial, you know, working for yourself and being able to do these things, but also it's a little bit detrimental to the business if you let your desires, your every desire take over. So it's about having that discipline to realize, right, cool, maybe I don't need this walk in a half hour because I've already been for a run this morning. But if I need to, you know, go for a walk, I'll take 5 minutes. I'll just go stand out in the garden, or when we're at the office, I'll just go and stand out in the courtyard.
So based on what you've said and kind of what I've heard from talking to other people, it kind of depends on what your priority is and what kind of person you are as such. Like the Bill Gates of the world, he, you know, like I think he worked every single day for 16 hours a day until he was 30, I think was how he did it. And that works for people like him, but I mean, I've found recently, like at one point I was being very structured and strict myself, like I have to work 16 hours a day, I have to be working every single second of the day. Yeah. But now it's getting to a point where if I get to like 8 p.m, let's say, and I want to finish work because I know that I'm burnt out, I'm now getting to a point where it's like it's okay for me to just say, right, I'm done with work for today, I'm not going to do anything productive, I'll, you know, just start again tomorrow, start fresh. And I think that's kind of something that you've talked about is, you know, having the freedom to do what you want to do, but still having that discipline to know when it's time to work. So, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And basically answers my question. So
100%.
So, another question that kind of comes...
And, you know, going off the back of what you said as well, if you don't... Sorry.
No, sorry, go on.
You're breaking up a bit.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, so going off the back of what you just said, yeah, if you're not being productive, don't force yourself to be productive, because you're just going to end up hating the project that you're working on or your passion because you're forcing yourself to doing it. And that's what we find with a lot of generic 9-to-5 jobs. People will go to their 9-to-5 job, they hate their boss because their boss makes them work when their body and their soul doesn't want to work, and their soul wants to chase something else. You know, and then and I've been stuck in that cycle, you know, but luckily for me, I'm trying to change this, but I was a very nocturnal person, obviously working late nights in nightclubs, that gives you a nocturnal personality, but to be honest, even prior to that, when I was studying for my GCSEs, when I was doing my A-levels, when I was at uni, the best times for me to study were when everyone else was asleep, because I had no distractions whatsoever. You know, I would wake up at maybe 2 a.m, 1 a.m, and I would crack on through then and work. I would go to school or go to college, and then I'd come back and I would go right to sleep about 5 p.m, maybe 6 p.m, and then I'll do that all over again. And that was the best structure for me, and I think honestly that worked really well for me getting through college, uni, and it's not something that unfortunately you can roll out into the real life, but if I could, I would. I think when it comes to working with international clients, it might be beneficial. You know, if you've got clients in China who only work around that time period, then you're very lucky.
100%. I suppose...
I'm going to take a note of that. I need clients working in that time zone.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I suppose once you've kind of grown a little bit and got teams, you could realistically structure your business in such a way where you only work with clients that fit that time zone, and then you can structure your day. Like you said, if you want to wake up at 2 a.m. and sleep at 5 p.m, you could do that. I think it's just a case of obviously building the business with that in mind and building the teams with that in mind. But I think it's definitely doable, especially if you're going to do more productive work, because everyone will benefit.
100%.
And obviously one of the bigger issues for that I can foresee would obviously be meetings with, like, let's say your business partner Tom, who doesn't work on that schedule. Yeah. You could easily schedule your meetings for the overlap. So yeah. Well,
it's funny you say that. I'm considering moving to Thailand for a few months to go to a Muay Thai camp, and I think that will be very good for our business, because I'll get to work at the times that I want to work, and that'll be the equal times to regular day hours for Tom here.
Yeah.
So that'll be a nice little test to see if we can make this work.
And if it does, you're off to Thailand for life, I imagine.
Honestly, I wouldn't put that. At this point, it's not unlikely. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah, if it gives you the schedule you want, and I know, like, obviously, this is another question I kind of want to ask you about your training. Obviously, you can go and enjoy doing Muay Thai. If it's giving you the life you want, then why not? Like, I know of anyway, loads of entrepreneurs who have decided to move to all different countries all over the world just because it fits their schedule better. Like Jason Capital, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he moved to Puerto Rico. He now lives in Puerto Rico most of his time, just because that fit his lifestyle better. It fit his schedule better, so that's what he does. So then, right, specifically onto the kind of the Muay Thai, like learning to fight, training side of it. You're learning to obviously you're training.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
Is my signal going? Is that better?
Sorry, what's that? Yeah, go on.
So obviously you're training Muay Thai right now, and you're learning how to fight Muay Thai. Yeah, if that's the proper way to say that. What is the end goal behind that? Are you training to fight just so it's like the discipline side of it, and so you have that skill, or is it you're hoping to do like fight? Like, are you hoping to go and do MMA events, like fight in the ring?
The immediate goal is to compete in my first bout as soon as possible, as soon as COVID permits. Unfortunately, I went through a period of time, like I said, around COVID and lockdown, where I fell into a very deep pit. And my friend, who's a Muay Thai practitioner, is a Nak they're called. We're best friends. I've known him for, God, I don't know, 12, 15 years. We've basically grown up together. He very much went down the athletics route, and he's been trying to get me into this for a very long time. When I was younger, I did participate in combat sports, in karate and judo and taekwondo, but I never really found the passion for it. I just found that I was naturally good at certain things, and those were the things that I was naturally good at. So there was no passion in it because there was no need to try or anything. And I found other things to be interested in. At that age, I was more interested in girls, and I was more interested in money and everything else. And I let my health slip. And over the past 18 months, really, I've let my health just drop off the edge of the cliff. But since about September, I started training with my mate Adam, who's a Nak Muay, and he's basically been pushing me to get better and better and better. And right now, I feel so much better. I feel healthier than I've ever felt before in the past 10 years. And it's just one of those things. And I think I would like to compete as soon as possible, just to see where I'm at, just so I've got a benchmark for myself. I don't know how far I would want to take this, but it's been a crutch for me to get out of that pit that I got myself into, that depression pit that I got myself into. And, it's definitely helped build up my confidence way past how far it dipped, after lockdown, after everything that happened, and my entire life, my entire career that I'd spent years building just fell apart, and with the closing of nightclubs, obviously, and it was just it was a very depressing time, and in order to get through that, I used exercise as a crutch, and it's been doing wonders for me. Like, I used to hate getting out of bed. It's the most difficult thing to consider even now. Like that oh my God, I really used to hate getting out of bed, and now I'm up and the first thing I want to do is go for a run. after I've been for a run, like later on in the day, I might go for a second run. I might go do something else, um, because I've started loving that. And excuse me, it's not COVID. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, so it's really helped. Exercise has really helped, like, get me out of my depression, and outside of that, not drinking and not smoking and not doing drugs, it's been very effective in keeping me away from everything else. Is swapping out those bad hobbies and bad habits for better habits and better hobbies.
Have you? I think internet's dropped again. No, we're good. So have you completely gone sober then, in terms of, like, smoking, drinking, etc. As it is?
Yeah. So I oh god, here we go. um, yeah, I had a proper battle with alcohol and drugs at the start of the year. Even, to be completely honest, for the past 18 months, maybe up to 2 years, I had a proper, very deep problem with alcohol, drugs, and just abuse of every single vice that you can imagine, um, that anyone could ever have. And it got to a very low point, and at the start of lockdown, that's when I hit my rock bottom, and I decided, right, I really need to do something about this. And funnily enough, it was around my birthday. It was around my 26th birthday. So I thought, you know what? Let's put this to aside. For the past 10 years, I've drank, I've partied, I've done everything. But let's put this to the side and let's start doing something beneficial. So I put alcohol aside. I started by counting the days, and then started by counting the weeks, and then it eventually became months. It eventually became 6 months, and it nearly became 7 months, but Halloween struck, and I always planned on drinking on Halloween. It's not like I cheated myself in any way. I told myself that I was going to go sober for 6 months, and then I was going to drink on Halloween. So the week prior to Halloween, I'm a big fan of whiskey. I know you are too. The week before Halloween, I went out. I had a glass of, what did I have? Buffalo Trace, I think it was. It was the best they had on shelf, on the rooftop that we were at anyway. I had a double Buffalo Trace on the rocks, 2 ice cubes. And then that was it. That was it. I had that one drink that night. Then the following week, which was Halloween, I thought, I'm going to go out. I'm going to have my big blowout like I said that I was going to have. I've had a rough 6 months. I've had a rough fucking year. Everyone has had a rough year. This is the day that I'm going to go out and drink. So I went out, I partied, I drank, and that was that. Then, actually no, on the Wednesday after that as well, that was just before lockdown, I had a few more drinks and partied again. But after that, which is about 20 days ago, 21 days ago, nearly 3 weeks now, Wednesday today, isn't it? Yeah, 3 weeks now. I've been sober again. So, it's shown me that I'm not as reliant on alcohol and drugs than anything else as I thought I would be. And it was just a crutch for me at that time, because I hated the position that I was in. I hated, there was a lot of anger inside me, I hated where I was working, who I was working for, the people I was working with, not so much like my colleagues, but just generally the people that I was working with. Yeah. And it just put me in a very dark position, it put me in a very dark place. And in that dark place, I got even further using the drugs and alcohol abuse to push me deeper and deeper into this pit. But yeah, no, since the first week of November, I've not had a drink again. And I've been going back to training, and I've been really stepping it up now. And honestly, I can't wait to see how the next 6 months go.
Hmm. So,
I'm probably going to be drinking on my birthday. No, I'm not sure if I'll be drinking on New Year's Eve, but I'll probably be drinking in March again on my birthday. We'll see. We'll see how I feel.
yeah, that's fair enough. I think it's important to
You know,
kind of understanding
just
yourself.
just to go off on a tangent.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, just to go off on a tangent on that as well. Very important to have people around you that support you.
Hmm.
And I've been very lucky to have my friends around me who supported me, and you know, despite them drinking, they understand that I'm not drinking, and it doesn't change the dynamic at all in any way. You know, I know that a lot of people have this fear of missing out, and I've spent many years of my life pushing that as a marketing strategy, the fear of missing out on an event, on a party or whatever. And I'm kind of numb to it, I think. And the the thing about supportive friends is like my group of friends, they know that like we'll go out, I'll have a juice, I'll have a Coke, you know, I'll have some water. Doesn't mean that they're gonna have water, doesn't mean that they can't drink, you know. I'm not removing myself from that place, you know, so I'm not missing out on anything. I'm just partying and doing what I do, and I'm still the same person. I'm still doing everything that I used to do when I was drunk and when I was high or whatever. And that's it's just more controlled now, and I understand what I'm doing, and I'm not blaming it on this persona that I've created called Drunk Ash that has no consequences and nothing to fall back on, and no one holds him accountable for anything. You know, it was so incredible that over the years I managed to create this persona where no one held me accountable for anything that I did when I was drunk, because it was simply, oh, it's just Drunk Ash, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a major problem that I needed to address, because I realized that, you know, Drunk Ash was this monster that gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do without consequences, and that's not how people live life. That's not how you live life. And I started to become more self-aware of my actions and what I was doing, and luckily my friends have been supportive, and they've helped me through this, and they've helped me, you know, become more aware of myself, become more aware of everything else. And honestly, they at no point have my friends turned around and said, oh yeah, Ash, you're an arsehole, you need to change. But me noticing and wanting to change that behavior in myself has made these guys understand that I'm trying to be better, and I'm trying to be better than the person that I was before. And it's honestly, it's like an inspiration within myself to keep going and keep getting better.
Yes, so my next question was going to basically be, how do you avoid the temptation of not drinking? Like, obviously you're still quite a young guy, you still go out, and obviously, like, for me, from my perspective, I'm a uni student. You know, most uni students drink religiously, pretty much at least every week. So how, like, I mean, my question was going to be basically, how do you avoid that temptation? But it sounds like you just have that support network of friends who understand and support you in that, rather than trying to tempt you away from it.
Yeah, no, I mean, my friends at no point do they ever turn around and say, right, go on, have a drink, you'll be okay. They never do that. But also, like, I remember the first time when I went to a gathering after my sobriety, and it was a lot easier than I thought. I was very quiet. I wasn't as outspoken and as jolly and as loud as I usually am, and I was hyper aware of that. And then that gave me anxiety, because I was super aware that I wasn't being the person that I am. I'm not being the life and the soul of the party. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Right, I need to go into my shell.
Yeah.
But then as time went on and I realized, right, cool, I need to get used to this new norm. By the second party, by the third party during the summer, everything just kind of fell into place and things became easier. And to be honest, it's no longer a temptation. It's not a temptation. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I need to be strong enough to be able to push through that choice.
So now
and
it's
make
more.
the right.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you did definitely. So it's more of like what it feels like now is a controlled choice that you make, like controlled reward almost. Like you say, I'm gonna go hard on Halloween. You go hard on Halloween, that's fine. But rather than what a lot of people experience, especially at like my age at university, is kind of feeling like you have to drink or filling the time with going out clubbing and drinking because there's nothing better to do. Like I know, not so much now, but a lot of the people I used to be friends with were like that. You know, they would go out every or even a few times a week, and not out of wanting to go out. It's more feeling like there's nothing better to do. And I think getting away from that kind of, I don't want to call it toxic, but that kind of energy is definitely something positive. And it sounds like you've definitely done that and got a support network of people that not only don't encourage these things that you want to get away from, but they actually support you getting away from them, which is obviously a really good thing to have.
100%, 100%. And you know, a lot of my friends are the lives and souls of the party. That's why we all get along so well. That's why you know, we all met working in very similar environments together, and there's a reason for it. You know, they're all promoters, they're all outspoken, they're all you know, and the thing is with people like that, they have to be the center of attention. I personally have to be the center of attention. If I'm not the center of attention, then I start thinking, why am I not the center of attention? What's wrong with me? What's going on here? And you know, that's when at the start of the sobriety, when I was going out, people were drinking. I was a little bit like, ooh, what's going on here? Why am I being like this? But now I've got back into the flow of things. You know, this is a new norm for me. I can go and I can still be the center of attention without making a fool of myself because I'm drunk. You know, because that's what I would do. That's what personally I would do. And then it would get chalked up to, it's just drunk Ash. And you know what? This actually started at uni. It's funny you say that. Well, it started before uni, but it kind of expanded when I was at uni. We used to have our guild, our student guild, and they had a bar in there that used to open at 11 a.m. So on first break, I would go in, I would order a pint of Kronenberg and a double JD, and two double JDs, and I'd drink the first double JD, I'd drink a bit of the pint, and then I'd pour the rest of the second double JD into the pint, and then I wouldn't remember the rest of the day.
That can't have tasted good.
I didn't taste any of it. I didn't taste any of it. And I think at the time, in the place that I was at mentally, I really didn't care. Nothing made sense. Nothing was bright. Nothing was light. Nothing was dark. Nothing was gloomy. Everything was just grey.
Yeah,
you know,
just
yeah. So it didn't matter to me. I was having a fucking great time. To my friends, I was having a fucking great time. I was sat in a biology lecture answering questions left, right, and center, and they were just looking at me like, "Didn't you just down a fucking pint with whiskey in it?" I was like, "Yeah, I've got my flask too." You know, it was just a great. Uni was a fantastic time for me, but uni just wasn't for me. Like, I didn't go to uni to study. I went to uni to party. And like, when I realized, you know what, I don't actually want to go into biomedicine. I don't want to do biomedical sciences. I have absolutely no fucking interest in this. You know, my interests lay in people and relationships, and I don't want to fucking build a relationship with a petri dish. You know. And I think that's what a lot of people nowadays are finding. They're finding that they've gone to uni and they've wasted their time, because when they get out into the real world, they can't really do anything with it. You know, the other day I saw on Twitter, this girl posted a certificate of her law degree from Liverpool, John Moore, I think, and then she applied for a job at McDonald's, and McDonald's rejected her.
I think I saw that actually. You retweeted it, didn't you?
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, imagine what?
Yeah. Imagine
You've spent
paying
so
£40.
long at uni and you can't even. Exactly, and like it's not anything to do with her. It's the system that's broken. The system that's broken that says, we want you to come in and we want you to work for us, but we want you to come in and work for us eternally.
Yeah.
We don't want you to ever leave this structure. We want you to come in and become a cog in this system and work for us forever. You know, and unfortunately, with a lot of companies, they work like that, and it's very difficult to, especially during lockdown, for people who have built careers, for people who have, created these pathways for themselves that are now going to suffer, because there aren't any jobs going, because the entry-level jobs require 12 years experience, because no one is willing to teach you how to do the job anymore. They just want you to come in and be able to do the job and do what they want you to do. And that's something that we don't agree with at Prest Creative. We want you to come on board, and we want to teach you everything that we know, and we want to learn everything that you know, because no fucking doubt, you know stuff that I don't know, and I want to learn that. And I want to be a better version of myself, and I want you to be the best version of yourself. And the only way we can do that is by helping each other. And unfortunately, a lot of these companies, they don't do that. They don't do that. They want you to come in and they want you to work for their company eternally. If someone comes in and says, right, can I have a job at Prest Creative? I've got this skill set. And if we can find a space for you in our structure, we will give you that space and let you grow into that space. Then once you're done with your journey with us, it's okay. There's no hard feelings,
It's about individual growth as well as the whole, not just this is the business, you're a cog.
Exactly, 100%. I don't want you to come into our business and be a cog that comes to work 9 to 5 and then you want to fucking leave. Like, I'm not going to get mad about that. Like, you're coming in because you want to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I want you to come in because I want you to be a better version of yourself. And I want you to learn something while you're doing this as well. If I give you a project, a client to handle, and I give you a client brief, then you go away and you smash the shit out of this. I am so fucking proud of you. It's more than just a paycheck. Don't get me wrong. Money is very important. Money is probably the most important thing. But the bottom line is that you're going to work better and to the best of your ability if you feel appreciated. And we appreciate everyone that has anything to do with any of our projects, and apart from the money that's, paid out eventually as well. But it's very important.
No, it sounds really good, to be fair. Like, you know what you understand the value of the individuals. Like, if the individual improves, then the whole improves. It's not just, like you say, it's not just a cog. It's not just a, right, get here, do the work, and fuck off, basically. It's come grow with us, and we understand that you're on your own journey as well. So I really like that, for the record. So, good job with that. Last thing I kind of wanted to talk about then is something you mentioned to me the other day. You said you've been kind of dealing with imposter syndrome. And I've got a definition here of imposter syndrome, just for anybody who doesn't know. Basically, it's a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skill, talents, or accomplishments and has an internalised fear of being exposed as a fraud. So my question is, how have you experienced this? Why have you experienced this? And if you've overcome it or overcoming it, how are you doing that?
Well, like I said, the start of this second lockdown has been a struggle, and it really started around then where it just dropped off. I dropped off the radar. It just became very difficult. Life became difficult, and I started losing some battles that I should have really won. But I can't beat myself up about that. I just need to understand and recognize the patterns and be able to push forward. And imposter syndrome is one of the patterns that I've recognized that I'm now going to try and battle. Excuse me. I promise it's not COVID, I hope. Yeah, so you just feel like what you're doing and your skill set and everything that you've accomplished has just been a stroke of luck, and everything that you've done has been a stroke of luck. And then that's when having such a strong support system around you is so important, because you have your friends reminding you of the things that you've done. You have your friends reminding you of the battles that you've won. You have your friends reminding you of your achievements. You know, you did this. It was you that did this particular thing. It was you that sold this particular thing. It was you that broke this particular record, you know? And then you start to realize, yeah, it actually was me. But I wouldn't have been able to do it with anyone and all the other pieces falling into place. And that's where the imposter syndrome is the strongest, where you start devaluing your own work and you start devaluing yourself based on your own opinions. You know, you take opinion over fact, and the fact of the matter is that if you've achieved something, you've achieved it. You know, there's no point trying to break this down into other people achieving it. There's no point trying to break this down into different pieces falling together out of luck, because luck is what you make of it. You know, luck is what's that saying? I'm not a religious person in any way, shape, or form. I'm an atheist, but I really like the saying, "God helps those who help themselves." You know, and you can apply that in every aspect of life, really. You know, like, you need to want to help yourself. You need to do everything in your power to help yourself, and then that's when you start getting lucky. That's when things start to seem lucky, because someone saw your work, or, you know, someone heard of you somewhere and it's given you a job opportunity somewhere. It's because of that you're lucky. It's because of the work that you have done and what your name says about you that makes you lucky. You know, if someone hears your name, how do they feel? Do they feel like, oh, this person has been a positive impact on my life, let me talk well on their name, let me wish them well? Or has this person been a negative influence on my life, let me talk ill on this person? You know, and that's why it's so important to be a nice person and be someone that helps others, because it's not just you know, helping others in order for them to help you. You're doing this as a selfless act. You need to not think about the selfless act that you're doing, and do it to the best of your ability, and do your job. You know, do your thing, create your brand, market yourself, talk to the right people, network with the right people, and over time you will start to get lucky. And, you know, it's only the people that aren't directly involved that consider it luck. You know, it's only then that, you know, you have to battle your imposter syndrome to realize, well, actually, no, it's not fucking luck. I remember waking up at 6 a.m. to do this. I remember scheduling everything at this time to do this. I remember talking to these people. I remember sending out emails to newspapers. I remember sending this out. I remember doing this, that, and the other. I'm not a fucking imposter. My luck comes from the work that I've carried out and the plans that I've set in motion. So yeah, to an outsider, it might look like, he just got lucky. Yeah. I wish I was as lucky as him. But the fact of the matter is, I put the fucking work in. If you put the fucking work in, you'd be as lucky as me as well. You know? Yeah. And your luck is what you make of it as well. You can be given an opportunity and squander it. And you can be given an opportunity and grow into it and flourish with it. It's completely up to you.
Yeah, related to this, one of my favourite quotes of all time is from Harvey Specter in Suits, where he says, "I don't get lucky, I make my own luck." When somebody calls him lucky, and it's like, yes, okay, he is lucky to a degree, but because he worked to make those opportunities for himself. And I think the way that I'm kind of starting to look at it more is if everybody was in your exact position, as in they had all these advantages in your life and disadvantages in your life, would they all achieve the level of success you have? And if the answer is no, then it's taken at least a degree of your work and your intuition and your kind of commitment. So then, you shouldn't then feel like an imposter. You shouldn't then feel like, oh, it's just luck, because it's not. Because not everybody in your position would achieve that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it's that sort of affirmation that a lot of people just starting out need to tell themselves. You know, you need that affirmation that yes, a lot of people have had this opportunity, but I'm the person that's here right now. I am the one that's building this. I am the one that's working for this company, or I am the one that's producing this content. You know, I am the one that set the plans in motion for my luck, for my life to be lucky. You know, and yeah, luck comes on its own. Luck comes in time with consistency.
It's, I think the reason, yeah, it is. I mean, I think the reason why so many people call it lucky is because with a lot of business owners, I think you've experienced this, but I'm not, like, correct me if I'm wrong, is you do a lot of work in the beginning and get absolutely fuck all back for it. You could be working tirelessly, intensely, and get nothing for it. And then one day, all of a sudden, like you say, it just takes the right person to kind of see your work, or the right person to recommend you to a friend, and then all of a sudden it takes off, and it's like, well, that's come out of nowhere. It's like, no, it hasn't come out of nowhere. It's come out of hours and hours and hours and hours of hard work in the background, getting nothing for it for years, to now reach one point where it's just exploded. That's kind of the trend I'm noticing, and it sounds like that's what you've experienced.
100%. And I don't know who it is that said this, but they said that overnight successes take years to build.
I've heard that.
And that is very true.
Yeah. It's and the thing for, like, people watching this who are starting their own business and maybe not experiencing success, like I'm at that point right now. Like, my business hasn't by any means exploded, and I'm at a point where I'm working a lot and not getting anything for it. And I think it's so important to have the support networks of friends, partners, family around you to basically just say, like, okay, fine, maybe you're not reaching success right now, but look at all that you've achieved. Like, in 6 months, in a month, in a year, 2 years, it's gonna come. Like, there's gonna be a day where you hit that one thing. You just do that one thing right, in the right person, with the right person at the right time, in the right place, and it just absolutely explodes. And then it's just completely flipped. You're getting this level of, like, initially you're working like this much and getting this level of success, and then it just flips, and you're working this much and getting this level of success. So I think that's just important to remember. And I think, as you've kind of touched on, the friendships, the networks are the key to being able to survive that.
100%. And it's all about consistency. That's what it comes down to. The bottom line is consistency, but also to be able to optimize your procedures and be able to optimize your service or whatever it is. So a big shout to every single entrepreneur out there. Just keep consistent, but also realize when you're making mistakes and optimize your work to cover those failing.
Work smart and hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Work smart and hard. And first thing you can do, at the first opportunity that you can, delegate.
100%.
Because you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have things in your mind that you need to act on. And once you've created the structure for your business right now, and everything is in place, and you've got the client coming in that can pay you, to pay someone else, delegate. So you can go and build something else. You can go and build more. You can pick up a client and another one and another one. You know?
Yeah.
Don't try and do it all yourself, because that's when you will fail. And you'll get burnt out.
That makes sense. Obviously, I'm not at the point now where I have teams yet. Anyway, like that is something I want to be doing in the near future. How do you deal with the worry that, so you obviously you're working under the assumption that you've got a client, you can then use the money the client's paying you to then pay somebody to essentially do that work in a simplified kind of way.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the kind of worry or anxiety that comes with, if that client leaves, you then can't pay this person's wage?
Why would the client leave?
True, but I'm thinking in terms of COVID, for
That,
example.
that, right. So COVID is just one of those unprecedented situations. I fucking hate that word, unprecedented. I've heard it way too many times this fucking year.
Yeah.
Right. COVID is just one of those situations that you can't really predict. You know, we would not have been able to predict this at the start of the year. There was no way that we would have been able to think, oh, fuck, right, we're about to go into a national lockdown for 11 fucking months of the year.
Yeah, nobody could have known.
Or no one could have figured that out. But what we need to realize as people is that if you have built your relationship, especially as entrepreneurs, what we need to realize is that if you've built your relationship with your client isn't going to leave you. If you deliver on your promises, and to be completely honest, you always need to under-promise and over-deliver. That is one of the most important lessons that I've learned from my mentors. I always used to get a slap on the wrist for over-promising and under-delivering, and very quickly I learned my lesson. Under-promise, over-deliver, and everyone is happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And you just kind of have to go with that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to build that trust with your client and understand that, right? So right now, or you can just restructure your company. You know, you hire someone as a freelancer. That's what we do in order to be able to cut back costs. We hire based on a freelance project basis. So if we have the project and the work is there for you, then this is your freelance work and you can do this. If we don't have the project and the work isn't there, which thank God, fingers crossed, luckily it hasn't happened to us yet, it doesn't happen in the near future, then we can afford to have you on and we can give you the money for it.
All right, sounds really good.
You know, if we don't, then we can't.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you can't start off your journey by thinking, oh, what if the client leaves? Because then that's that fear speaking to you in your head, that fear telling you, don't take this leap because you're going to fail. You know, it's that risk reward. And I'm known for leaping off the edge of a cliff before knowing if there's water underneath or not. And whether it's good or bad is neither here nor there. I've had failings because of it and I've had wild successes because of it. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't risk it, if you don't take that leap, then you don't know. It's that leap of faith, you know.
Yeah.
Take that leap. If you think that your workload is getting too much, then take that leap and do that thing. But a lot of people and a problem that I had in the past was that I didn't know how to get new clients. It was a foreign concept to me. I didn't know how to get clients for marketing, for design, anything else. And I hired people to work with current clients. And when those projects were finished, then I was on my ass. Fuck, what do I do? Where's the next client? Right, I'm really sorry, mate. I've got to let you go. I don't have any work for you. Right? And it falls into this pattern of, right, you need to have your client lead gen and you need to be able to bring these clients in order for you to go and hire someone else. If you don't have a constant flow of clients coming in and clients going out, or clients coming in and giving you more retainer work and more work and more work, then that's when you don't need to hire. You need to focus on learning that skill. Once you've learned that skill, once you can create yourself this, I hate this fucking word as well, funnel. Once you can create a funnel of clients, fuck me, right? Then then you can go and hire, because you know that you're going to be getting clients coming in. But until then, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Do it yourself and figure out your funnel. And then once you've got that, then you can go and hire someone else to come in and help you out.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can focus on more services. You can focus on bigger, better clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've got that constant flow of work coming in. So just to round off then, how did you go from not knowing anything about, or very little about, client acquisition, getting these new clients for marketing, to the point where you are now, where you're able to have this funnel put in place that you can have a constant flow of clients?
Honestly, it comes down to looking at other people's structures and seeing how they work. And you would honestly be surprised how much you can learn from someone, from a business, just by going through their sitemap and seeing what pages they have and what pages are hidden and whatever, like just go through and have a look and see what these guys are doing, learn from people that are doing it well and figure it out. And I think for me personally, it came to just repackaging what I had been doing for years, but instead of going direct to consumer, I go direct to the business. So I go B2B rather than B2C. And it was just repackaging the sort of conversations that I would have with, when I was a promoter at the age of 17, 18 on the streets in Birmingham, trying to get people to go into clubs, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just need to repackage that, make it more professional, and sell it to a company, sell it to a corporate company, sell it to someone else, and put that structure in place where, again, it comes back to this whole fucking funnel where, you do that cold outreach, and you reach out to them, and some of them, they have no idea that they have a fucking problem in their business. You have to make them aware of the problem that they have, and then there's others that are aware of the problem and they're looking for a solution, and then there's others that are aware of the solution and they're just looking for someone to fucking do it for you, and you need to be able to put yourself in a mindset where you can target each one of these clients at the various points in their journey and bring them all to one source, bring them to yourself, give them that value and give them a reason to want to come to you,
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Cheers, man. So that's it for kind of the questions I've got to ask you. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off and start recording?
No, just don't do alcohol and drugs, kids, because take you back a couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, right. Well, in that case,
back on.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. If you just want to wait after this, just want to. Got a couple more things to just quickly ask, but yeah, other than that, cheers, man. I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for having me on. I'll speak to you soon then.
Yeah, speak soon.